business, and now business is pleasure. The way that I'm touching you, fucking you, I got you down for whatever.
All right, Rocky. Thank you for coming.
Man, appreciate you for having me, bro.
All right, so where are you from originally?
Man, originally, I really lived all over the city. I lived in Calumet City. I went to school in Roseland. So we was basically commuting from Calumet City to Roseland, but I had a lot of family that lived in that area. So really to make going to school easier, I just used to post up in Roseland for real. And then I moved to Homewood, I want to say in like my seventh grade year. And I went to this school called Churchill, ended up getting kicked out like in my first like 3 weeks. So I started going back to school in Roseland, graduated from a school called Salem Christian Academy in Roseland, and then ended up going to Homewood Flossmoor High School. So them the two areas I say that really like where I'm really from is like HF and like the Roseland neighborhood type shit.
What were some of your musical influences growing up?
Growing up, I fucked with a lot of mainstream music, shit that was easily accessible. So I used to listen to just the regular shit. Like, I had an older brother, so I used to listen to Biggie, Tupac, Master P. Like, those were my first introductions into rap. And then my first selections was like the Nellies. I used to rock with Bow Wow more than most kids my age, like most dudes my age, because I thought it was cool that he didn't have to go to school and shit. Yeah. And he just got to be a rapper as a kid. Like, that shit was raw to me. And then when I first, like, fell in love with music for real was, like, College Dropout, Black Album, and Twisted Kamikaze. I think all three of them albums came out, like, within a year of each other. And that's when it got real for me. So those some of my favorite projects right there.
And then at what point did you first start creating music?
Like, I feel like the way we grew up, like, everybody used to play around and freestyle. So it started off like that for me, just typical bug of just freestyling with my homies, battling. But I say the first time I recorded wasn't until, like, my senior year of high school, like, when I was graduating, like, the back end of that. Yeah, I didn't think being a rapper was cool. I thought they was, like, I thought it was an impossible job. I was raised to think that, like, it wasn't something that you could do. So I kind of X'd that off my list early. But I was just so good at, like, coming up with freestyles and stuff. My homies who I trusted a lot, they was like, yo, you got something going on, bro. Yeah. And then I finally recorded, like, my first little freestyles probably, like, the end of my senior year of high school.
That's crazy. When you first started making music, were your parents, like, receptive to it?
Nah, not at all. Like, my parents, they big in the church. I didn't even want them to know. I was trying to really keep it a secret from them, but my first show sold out, and all these other people's parents was hitting them. And then and that made it easier too, though, because they knew that somehow I found a way to sneak and go make a project and then get fans and sell out a show. And they found out about it through the word of mouth of, like, the buzz that was going on. So it made it a little easier to sell it to them at that point. But yeah, I never wanted them to know they wasn't really about that shit at all.
Where was that first show?
It was at Reggie's.
Really?
Like, I say that's my first real show, but I did, like, a little mock show at HF. I forgot the little rock band. Shout out to Andrew Gerlin, my manager. But he used to set up shows at HF, and I forgot the name of the band, but that's technically my first show, which was also sold out in the high school auditorium. But that was all for the band that we did it with. But yeah, my first real show was at Reggie's. That's when I dropped my first mixtape. I did my first show. Yeah. And man, it's crazy.
How was your experience at Homewood Flossmoor High School?
Man, my experience at HF was everything. It was dope. I got introduced to so many different vibes of life. I got into alternative rock. You know, I learned about skinny jeans. I learned about a lot of just different stuff. Like, and at the same time, it's got such a, for lack of a better term, a black influence too. It's got a strong, it's just a good mix, you know? So you able to really find yourself and just be who you want to be, but also get introduced to, you know, different ways of life too. And I think that helped make my music a lot more relatable to, like, a lot of different types of people, because when you navigating through HF, at least the time I was going there, you was meeting all different walks of life, people from all different places, different living styles, different neighborhoods, and you know, when you learn to adapt to that, it's like it's a lot of relatability that come with that.
Did you and Andrew meet at HF?
Yeah, yep. Shout out to the homie Drew. So it was another Andrew. I had my day-to-day at the time, his name was Andrew Koenig, and he was actually in my grade, and then Gerler was a year ahead of us. So what happened was I started dropping these little freestyles on Facebook. I had a battle in HF parking lot. This when I really started taking it serious. I had a big battle in HF parking lot. Shout out to my homie that I battled. But I low-key won big time, like, and a lot of people was there, and they was like, damn, like, this food hard. Like, so from there, I started taking it more serious, started dropping little freestyles on Facebook, and we started getting just, my little following started to grow more, you know what I'm saying? And like the homie Drew, that's what we call him, he was starting to see that it was moving. I'm going to the studio now working on a project, and he reached out to Gerler, even though we had met, and he had told Gerler, like, yo, I know you're into music management. Like, he didn't have no artists at the time. It was just that's what he was going to school for. He was striving to do. He was like, we all know each other. Like, we want to bring you in. Yeah. And me and Gerler tapped in, and it got real.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Homewood Flossmoor High School has had plenty of musical talent over the years, such as yourself, Juice WRLD, Queen Key, Femdot, Toby Lou, Ohana Bam, etc. But many people credit you for being the first one to like kick that door down and be an inspiration for them. How does that feel to get that love from like all these talented musical artists that went to your high school?
Man, it's a blessing. Like, it feel good, but at the same time, it's like all of those artists, they so dope. It's like I just happened to be born before them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they was born before me, they probably would have kicked the door down for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, they all have such an influence and a different way of approaching the game. And it's just like, you know, that's what make it feel cool, is knowing that it's coming from people that it's just a year thing more than it is like me doing something super crazy, you know? I just happen to catch the bug first, and I'm a couple years older than a lot of them, so I was able to do it first. But all of them so talented and so innovative. I know that, you know, whatever era they would have dropped, they would have had the same type of influence.
I just think it's so amazing how like one school in a span of like 10 years has produced that many artists. When you were there, did you take I know they have like music business courses, music industry courses. Did you take any?
I don't even think that was an option when I went. Yeah. We didn't have that. Like, and that made, like, we may be the reason why, you know, that stuff started to get implemented, but we didn't have those type of options. But I knew it was a very creative place, like the speech team, the plays, just the artistry of everything that was going on. It was just like, you knew it was something different bubbling. I just didn't know that I was going to be like, you know, a part of like really helping put the school like on the map like that. It's a real blessing, but I wouldn't be nothing without all of the different inspirations that I got from going there.
Can you tell me what that moment was like when you first signed to MMG?
Man, believe it or not, like, I was so in the zone when I did that. It was more so like, finally. It wasn't like, I wasn't super like overly excited. Like, you know, certain people say they want to change stuff. Like, I probably would have been a little bit more excited, like, you know, now, because I knew, looking back, I realized how big that was. But at that time, bro, I was working so hard and like so focused on just trying to be great and, you know, reach a new level that, like, when it happened, I'm like, damn, all right, let's get it. Like, you know, finally, like, it felt good though, because I'm a huge Ross fan. So me and him being able to tap in like that and him respecting my music, being a fan like that, that was more so probably the biggest thing for me, was like winning his respect.
How did you two first get connected?
Me and Ross first got connected. So basically, Rap Radar, me and Elliot Wilson, we had started to build a cool friendship because he really rocked with Driving 88 mixtape. So we did an interview. He posted me on Rap Radar. Fast forward, this is a long story, but I gotta tell it because it's hopefully it'll motivate some artists. So shout out to my bro Casey Veggie. So me and Casey, we was locked in at this time. You know, that's my brother. Like, I love Casey. That's family. And what happened was Casey ended up getting signed to Roc Nation at the time. And they had Rita Ora. And before that, we were supposed to do a show together at SOBs. But I think Roc Nation had bought out SOBs. So they had removed me from the show and added Rita Ora And, you know, Casey has the new signing to Rock Nation. And so Casey like, yo, bro, like, I still want to bring you out at the show. Shout out to Gerler. Like, my money was low at the time. So Gerler like, man, I'm going to still fly you out there if you want to go. So I go out there. Casey bring me out. We do our songs. And then I run into Elliot Wilson in person for the first time. And then he posted, it was me, him, and shout out to Young Guru, Jay-Z's engineer. And so we got this picture that we took. It went up to the blogs. And all of a sudden, my phone was dead. I get back to my hotel. I charge it up. I get hit up by Spiff TV, which is, at the time, he was MMG A&R. And he hit me in the DMs and was just like, yo, bro, we just seen your video on Rap Radar or whatever. Like, we super rock with you. Like, what's your situation? Started there. Ended up flew out to LA. And me and Ross met at the Take It to the Head video shoot, basically. And so we chopped it up and just instantly started bonding, and it went from there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Elliot Wilson's a legend. I feel like people like that don't get enough credit for what they do, but
definitely
he's been steady behind the scenes, just doing really raw shit for.
Yeah, Elliot's
ever.
A boss, man. He a well-respected guy, and I appreciate him for taking a liking to what I was doing and, you know, helping be a liaison. Indirectly, he didn't even know.
Yeah.
You know, but.
Is it true that you used to work at Aldo?
Yeah, I did for like a couple months. And I used to, like, I came up, because I don't even write music, so I come up with all this stuff in my head. So one of my favorite songs that I ever made at the time is a song called What's the Hurry? It was a video I put out from this project called The Other Side, and it gained a lot of, like, attention for me at that time. And I created that song in the stock room working at Aldo.
Really?
Yeah. But I left that job. Like, I ain't even formally, because I just stopped coming. Like,
yeah.
Fans started to build. People was coming to the mall like, bro, I listen to your music. I'm like, oh, this is bad for the brand. I can't even be here no more.
So the 10-year anniversary of Driving 88 just recently passed. Looking back a decade later, what does that body of work mean to you?
That body of work means a lot to me. It changed everything for me, you know. That's when dreams started to come true. And I didn't even know what I was doing. I was going through so much during that time, bro. That's why I was so happy when people really started to catch on, because I'm like, man, I'm putting a lot into this. Like, my last project, which was The Other Side that came before that, I thought that was going to really kick the door down. You know, I really worked hard on that. So to know that I had to kick it in another drive, it's like it came so effortless to me because I wanted to win so bad. But at the same time, I knew after I dropped Driving 88, especially the way the game was at that time, it wasn't no Spotify, no Apple Music. So I knew that, like, you know, I had to drop mixtapes for free and, like, give myself and win people over so that I can at least have the ability to even sell my music on a certain level. And I think with me looking at Driving 88 more as a mixtape, I kind of just downplayed what I thought it was going to do. So looking back 10 years later and to be able to, you know, sell out the same venue that I started in, it was like, that was just a crazy feeling.
Yeah. Do you have a personal favorite song off that project?
Man, I got to say my personal favorite is actually the intro, which is Into the Future. That's actually the first song that Ross and Diddy both heard, you know what I'm saying? But bigger than that, it's just like the way the song is structured, it's just... Yeah. We wasn't chasing it at all. We got movie clips in the record as the hook. You know what I'm saying? The flow pattern is different. The beat style, like, it's just a well put together record. Shout out to the guy that produced it, my brother, The Gift. Like, it's just a special song to me. So I love that joint. And then I say 20's probably second, just because it's, you know, touched on my whole time of being in my 20s. But yeah, Into the Future probably my favorite record.
Yeah. No, that's a great project overall.
Thank you, bro.
I really like that outro.
Oh, yeah, so long,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah.
So good.
Appreciate that.
You actually brought up a good point. Was it weird going through that transition when it, like, went from, like, mixtapes, kind of blog era, into the DSPs?
I'm going to be honest. Like, being signed, that's the only thing that made it weird. The labels had a weird relationship with them. Me, I was young enough to understand that it was a positive, but it was just trying to convince them of that, which at the time, the relationship between the streaming services and the labels just wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? They had unfinished business. And, I mean, I kind of, some of my music, the relevancy of it fell victim to that because, you know, I was young, bro. I'm like, yo, Apple Music is great. I got to fucking iPhone. Shit's about to be easily accessible. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes sense. But at the same time, you know, it's a business too, and they just have to work out their kinks. So that's the only thing that made it weird for me, is like me wanting to put more music on those places at a time where legally I really wasn't able to do that shit.
So the cover of Driving 88 and Destination featured the DeLorean, but then on Slid Through to Show You What's Up, the DeLorean's like on fire, like in the background. Why did you decide to do that?
Honestly, it was an idea that we were kind of flirting with for a long time. And to just keep it completely transparent with you, we didn't have like the proper option for the cover art that I wanted. And so for me to continue to put out the project, we reverted to, you know what I'm saying, the old idea, because we were going to do that for Electric Highway 2. But I ended up just using it for that, you know what I'm saying, to make a quick audible.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Can you tell me how fatherhood has changed your life?
Man, fatherhood has changed me a lot, man. It's just giving me a new appreciation for like life, you know? And I tell you, like, the artist journey, as we've seen with a lot of our greats, it's like it pushes you to these limits, bro. You really risking your life playing in this game. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like being a dad gives me a quicker way of getting over some of my stresses and the things that I would probably fall to if I didn't have a daughter to come home to every night. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely put a different perspective in that sense. And then also just a new level of love, man. She's just watching somebody grow like that. You understand the growth process of life. You understand even at the age we at now, we still learning. And it just give you a little bit more sensitivity, not towards other people, but also yourself when you watching them go through their moments. So it's dope.
I like to ask this question to Chicago artists. There's always that conversation, right? Like, Chicago's music community is lacking this, whatever Atlanta has, or this, whatever LA has. What do you think is missing in Chicago's music community?
It's tough for me to say, because like I've been in it for so long, and I feel like, you know, what those cities have that people say that we missing, that's what make them great. That's what make them staples, and we just be doing us here. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you can't really just get caught in comparing yourself to others. You know what I'm saying? You got to relish in what you do good and like expand on that. I feel like if it's anything that we missing, is just the self-respect for what we bring to the culture and knowing what we do well and continuing to build on that. And then, I mean, it's a lot of things as far as unity that I see people, you know what I'm saying, talk about, which I'm always for that. But we, you know, we still us. Like, we bring what we bring to the game. The people love it. And it's like we got to just find better ways of cleaning that up and focusing on what we do well and bringing that, you know.
Yeah. What are you currently working on?
Man, so right now, to be honest with you, I got this series, and I really don't even want to label it as this, because this is like, it's me doing this independently just because I want to. But we got this series right now called Fresh Fridays, where we literally dropping new songs every Friday for the rest of the year. And then on top of that, I got an album series that I'm working on too that I plan on dropping this summer. And yeah, outside of that, man, just, you know, constantly just trying to perfect the music. We in the studio pretty much every day. But that's why I want to start giving people more of the music, is because it's like I want to share that growth with my fans, me getting better, the things that I'm working on, the process. So that's why every Friday we planning on feeding everybody. We might do this all the way through 2024, like, and just feed everybody just once a week.
What are some of your goals for 2022?
Man, some of my goals for 2022, man, I'm looking forward to like getting back on tour for the second half of the year. I think with COVID and also me being a dad, you know, you figure out ways to really make money from being at home and not having to be outside as much, which is a great thing. But I really love connecting with my fans and, you know, going to these different cities and really seeing how the music, you know, influences people in different places. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting back on tour. And I'm also looking to just flat out increasing the fan base. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I got a lot of wisdom for like all of the stuff that I've been through. And I moved through everything humbly, but also in a positive way. You know what I'm saying? I ain't no clout chaser. I ain't in no beefs. I don't want no smoke with nobody. I be chilling like, and you know, with that, it's a certain way, it's a certain peace, you know what I'm saying, that I have within my life. And I want my fans and other artists to know that you can still be successful without having to do all of the extra stuff. So with that being said, yeah, it's just pushing that agenda more and adding more people to that army.
And then the last question I have for you is, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Man, where do I see myself in 5 years? My daughter gonna be 10. Hopefully I'm at, some type of cool parenting events with the #1 album out and the biggest house in whatever city I'm living in.